Hey everyone, GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes. Today we're getting the reveal of the next legendary hero in the game, and the trailer just dropped. So I'm not currently looking at my screen. I think common guesses thus far have been like Rhea, for example. If I had to guess, I'm going to put my money on Rhea, but we'll just have to see. Not looking at the screen. Let's go ahead and get started. Watch the trailer together for the first time. Looking up now. A new legendary hero joins the battle. Oh. Oh, wow. Well, it is Edelgard Flame Emperor, if there was any doubt as to who was behind that. Anyway. Yeah, we're getting Edelgard as a legendary hero. I like that little... Oh, an underhanded strike. Interesting. I thought it was kind of early to have a legendary Edelgard, especially we're going to have a brave Edelgard not too far along. But anyway, legendary Ryoma, legendary Marth is also on the banner, Freed, as well as Air. We've got Naga, Nagi, as well as Silk, Ephraim. Okay, is that duo Ephraim? Oh wow, Larum, Celica. Interesting. Oh, hey, it's Tsubasa. So that's... Okay. Starting on the 30th, of course. Let's see if there's anything... No, there's not any post-trailer reveals or anything like that. So we are getting Edelgard Flame Emperor as the legendary hero that's coming up next. I know a lot of people are going to be very excited and very happy about that. I'm pretty excited about it too. I want to take a closer look at her skills. Her art looks pretty great. She looks very fierce there on the banner itself. Something else worth noting right off the bat is the fact that there's Duo Ephraim is available on this banner. But anyway, it's interesting. There is a duo unit available on this banner in addition to a whole host of legendary / mythic heroes. And so we'll be breaking down those colors, the availability on this banner, as well as Edelgard herself. So let's stick around, and we'll just go ahead and rewind and watch the trailer again and take a closer look at her skills. Alright, so here she is, the Flame Emperor. Yes, indeed. Okay, Terra Platt is going to be the voice, and Hachan is actually going to be doing the art, which is interesting. I think it's a little bit more vibrant than his typical fare. I mean, naturally, she has a lot of red on her, so that's just going to lend itself to more vibrancy in the art itself. No signature thighs from Hachan either, much to, I think, some people's regret, mine as well. But I think she looks great here. I think she has a very regal look. The flare that is the red across her works really well. Her weapon, very imposing there, and she is in fact going to be an armor axe unit, just like the Flame Emperor. So let's continue along, take a look at her skills. So let's pause here. Alright, so 16 Might Axe grants attack +3 if unit is not adjacent to an ally, inflicts attack defense -6 on foe during combat, so it's an in-combat debuff, and foe cannot make a follow-up attack. That's solid. That is definitely solid. Lends itself certainly to work in tandem with solo skills, and I can see right there that she's got one. Bonfire for the special. Attack res solo 3 for the A slot. If unit is not adjacent to an ally, grants attack res +6 during combat. So she has her own unique B slot and a brand new C slot. So her B slot is Raging Storm. Any King of Fighters or Mark of the Wolves fans out there might get hints of Geese or Rock Howard, but here's Raging Storm. It is, if unit initiates combat, grants another action to unit if unit is not adjacent to an ally after combat. Really? It's a self-refresh, as long as she player phases. Once per turn. Well, I mean, you can't you can't refresh on enemy phase anyway, so I don't know why I made that distinction. Once per turn, if a skill that moves unit after combat is used, references unit's position after that movement occurs. Once per turn, if a skill moves that unit after combat is used, references unit's position after that movement occurs. Okay. Oh, okay, so skills like Repulse or other movement-based skills that actually change the positioning after the battle, it's going to take into account Edelgard's positioning after the movement happens. So if the movement itself pushes her into her allies, then Raging Storm is not going to go off because she will be adjacent to an ally after that combat. That's how I'm reading it. So if foe uses Dragonstone or Beast damage and unit is not adjacent to an ally, makes a guaranteed follow-up attack during combat. Really, as if the first effect wasn't strong enough, it also guarantees a follow-up attack against dragons and beasts. As long as she's not next to an ally. So a lot of this is just contingent upon her being by herself, which, that's kind of her theme. She is an armored unit, which is, again, a little, well, I was going to say limited mobility makes it a little bit more difficult to to overextend and be beyond your teammates, but let's see what Armored Stride is. So Armored Stride 3 is our C slot. At start of turn, if unit is not adjacent to an ally, unit can move 1 extra space. Alright, so that's the answer. Basically, it's Armor March, except the condition is that she's not next to an armored unit, or any unit for that matter. So that means she is going to be pretty much solely self-sufficient. She doesn't want to ever be sitting next to one of her allies. She always wants to be 1 space away at least. And all of her moves and her skills work in tandem with that formula, more or less. So working all in tandem, she gets basically attack plus 12, right? Because of her weapon plus attack res solo 3. Altogether gives a -6 to defense. It's all in combat debuffs. So that's really a critical sticking point here. The fact that she's self-sufficient is pretty interesting, especially considering we just got Bramamond, who is a hero that obviously is catered towards dismantling emblem teams or teams that really rely on ally buffs. Edelgard, on the other hand, is one that is completely self-sufficient, or at least to the extent possible. So she's not going to be wanting to be adjacent to her allies. She can take advantage of drive buffs and goads and wards and things like that. But at the same time, she definitely does not want to be adjacent to any of her allies. And she's going to get a plethora of abilities when that happens, because she's going to do way more damage, because she's going to get plus attack and then minus defense on her ally, on the opposing force. She's going to get plus 6 res, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I guess that's in line for fighting dragons and things like that. And then she's going to get basically plus defense and res by inflicting -6 attack on her ally. So all these in-combat debuffs and buffs are excellent for her. And then making a guaranteed follow-up attack and preventing follow-up attacks from the enemy is pretty big. That self-proccing kind of self-sufficient Gale Force is on the B slot is extremely strong. I mean, by itself, it's very strong. And even after that, I mean, it also gives her a guaranteed follow-up attacks on dragons and beasts, which again is very strong. Considering I don't know what her speed stat is going to be. She's an armor unit. It doesn't seem like her kit is geared towards having a lot of speed, which also, of course, means that the rest of her stats are probably going to be pretty min-maxed, that being the case. So she's probably going to have pretty solid defenses, which means she's going to be able to tank hits. She's going to be able to prevent follow-up attacks against her. She's going to be able to self-Gale Force, and then she's going to also be able to ensure follow-up attacks against certain major threats like beasts and dragons. So all in all, very, very solid. And then being able to move an extra space when she's by herself, again, is just a big thing. It's a big thing. It is interesting, though. I mean, Armored Stride, so it's kind of fascinating because she will basically never be able to have Armored Stride activated on turn 1, if you think about it. She's always going to be sitting next to an ally. So you can think about it in the context of, at the start, her allies are probably going to be positioned to just offensively reposition her forward or something to that effect. But she's not going to be able to get 2 movement unless one of her allies has Armor March and uses it on her. I guess that is the way around it. If one of her allies has Armor March and she has Armored Stride, she's still going to get the effect of the additional movement from an ally, and then once she goes too far on her own, she'll still have Armored Stride to work off of. So this kit seems really solid. I mean, it's almost the equivalent of cavalry Gale Force users that you see on in Aether Raid defense a little bit, except of course she's an armor, so she's intrinsically going to have limited movement, but Armored Stride is going to give her a little bit more of a boost. But it's the same sort of kit where they're going to overextend, be by themselves, so because they're by themselves, they're going to get a whole bunch of buffs. The built-in like auto refresh or auto Gale Force or whatever you want to call it, it's not it's technically not something new. I mean, we've seen plenty of, not plenty, but a handful of legendary heroes or mythic heroes that have that built-in effect to one of their native skills. It still surprises me to see, regardless. I mean, it is a very strong thing to have. And there's no real downside to it, I guess, is one of the key things. I mean, with Leaf with his self-refresh, he has limited movement afterwards. It's often tied to an assist or it's tied to a special. It's not just like tied to a B slot. So again, it's still pretty unique for Edelgard to have this option, and she's going to be a terror. I mean, she's going to run forward, have that additional movement, be able to self-proc. Very, very easy. She doesn't really have a condition. Raging Storm just happens. And then she's going to be able to position herself or move to, a weaker ally and take them out as well. So a synergistic kit, and actually kind of interesting for an armor to have this player phase kit, and a melee armor, to have this sort of player phase kit that relies around kind of movement. It is worth noting that while she has a guaranteed follow-up attack on beasts and dragons, she doesn't otherwise have a follow-up attack anywhere else. So if she does have middling speed, that is going to be more difficult for her. Now, she doesn't have to double to get Raging Storm going, and so when she initiates against anything that's not a dragon or a beast, what that essentially means is that she'll attack and then take a hit back, and then be able to attack again next turn. So you can almost think about Raging Storm as an ability for her to get a force double on 2 different initiations. Obviously, it doesn't work perfectly like that, right? An enemy could have Vantage, an enemy could have any sort of other effects that come into play with HP thresholds. I totally get that, but it's kind of interesting to look at it that way. That if Edelgard chose to just attack the same unit twice, it's almost as though that she has a guaranteed follow-up attack. It's just on 2 different separate initiations. So, strong kit. I mean, it's definitely a strong kit. I feel like it doesn't have a lot of the weird shenanigans that we've seen with units recently, whether it's movement-based or, otherwise of nullification of enemy effects, things like that. It's a little bit more straightforward, but it also has a lot of potential. I'm also a little bit surprised. I mean, it felt like they feel almost restrained here, because I almost would have expected also to see, like, additional cooldown or something on her from... And that really speaks volumes to kind of the types of units they put out recently, more than I think the balance that Edelgard affords, because I think that this is a relatively balanced kit overall. So let's keep going. Honestly, every aspect of her kit works in tandem with each other. Animation is really cool. It kind of looks like she's playing croquet, like with her axe. Alright, so we can actually... There we go. So that was 20 damage. It's bonfire, so that's 40 defense, so 40 active defense when she was initiating there. And we'll break this down and take a look at the colors themselves. Lots of legendary heroes, naturally. I do think that, just by nature of it having silk, colorless is going to be one of the weaker colors on here. And Larum as well. And air. Oh boy, wow. Colorless is, yeah, colorless is kind of pretty lackluster, I gotta say. But, I mean, the more colors that you can ignore on a banner, the better it is for your sniping capability, right? So Edelgard is going to be a green unit. Let's take a look at who else is going to be accompanying her. So alongside Edelgard is going to be Nagi and Celica. Both are actually very strong and relatively recent. Well, Celica is. Nagi's been around for a little bit, but all the same, I think that Nagi is actually pretty great. So all in all, if you want to go for green for Edelgard, this isn't bad. I mean, you definitely have some choice green units available to get in, if you get basically a non-Edelgard green 5-star. If we go to blue next, let's take a look at blue. So we got Tsubasa, as well as Naga, and as well as Duo Ephraim. So that's actually pretty stacked as well. Tsubasa is strong. Duo Ephraim is strong. Naga, I still think is pretty good. I know a lot of people aren't as enthusiastic about her, so maybe that, maybe that kind of brings blue down a little bit. But really, I mean, Duo Ephraim and Tsubasa, and then having a mythic hero option, those are all, great things. That's probably maybe just under green, but very close to green, I would say. For red, you have Legendary Ryoma there, who we haven't seen in a hot minute. Legendary Ryoma is still strong. I mean, he is. I know that some people might argue that he's kind of fallen from grace a little bit with the influx of, different sword flyers that we've gotten. But his stat line is still impressive, and he still works wonders. I mean, he still is the only flyer a melee flyer that is able to have that kind of accelerated or increased special damage like that. So it's still a unique property to him. So he has a lot of stuff going for him. Legendary Marth is still strong. I mean, he's still a strong unit for sure. And you've got Hreed, who is also good. I mean, Hreed is strong, definitely works in tandem with certain team compositions revolving around debuffs. He has distant counter as well. So red's solid. It's solid. It's just a lot of swords. So it's also potentially that could hinder some people's ability to make the most out of that color, which is why I would honestly, despite those 3 units being pretty strong, I would place it under green and under blue. And then colorless, oh boy, colorless. As much as I love Silk, Larum, and Air, you know, it's a pretty lackluster color. Air being the mythic hero. On this, everybody already has Air, of course, as a light hero. Larum, this is kind of a unique opportunity to get Larum, but I'm sure we'll see Larum on a banner, on a 3 or 4 person banner in the future, and you'll have better chances of getting her there. Silk, similarly. So just don't pull on colorless. There's really no reason to pull on colorless. Any of the units that are on colorless, you would be better served pulling on another banner that they're featured on. So yeah, pretty straightforward. I would actually put green at the top there, with Edelgard being the marquee character, so of course she's going to be the most coveted. Then alongside her are going to be 2 very strong green units as well. I think right below that, buttressing that, is going to be blue. I think blue is extremely strong as well here. I think below that is going to be red, and then way, way, way below that is going to be colorless. So yeah. That is my basic ranking. I think, of course, at the end of the day, you want to be pulling on colors where you are missing at least 2 of the units, right, to maximize the rates for your own purposes and filling out your barracks. But let me know in the comments below if you're excited for Edelgard, if you're excited for the banner, who you're going to be pulling for, what colors you're going to be sniping, and how many orbs you're going to be devoting to it. I wish you the best of luck. I hope you get all of the targets that you're looking for. For me personally, while I would definitely like to go in for Edelgard, the fact that I have both of the other greens on the banner makes it a hard sell. I don't think I can really, you know, justify going in on green when I really don't need copies of the other 2. You know, I could use copies of Nagi because actually my Ivies aren't the hottest, but at the same time, I just feel like... At the same time, I think I'd just be better served saving instead. So what I'm probably going to do is my first complete circle, and then pop that into the next Poverty Pulls video. But again, let me know if you guys are excited and who you're going to be pulling for. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching and taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really, really appreciate it. And until next time, let's protect those skies.